Well, hello and welcome once again to Culture Cove right here on Hued Network. The journey continues as we try to preserve culture, talk about the arts and culture, like I said, and we want to ensure that we're also having fun while doing this. As always, I am Amadin, Ogbewe, but I'm not alone. Like we say, culture is for a people, so we're always here. What's the saying? One is a company, two is a crowd. Anyway, we welcome all and sorts here. So let me introduce the very special persons we have in the house with us here. Starting from from my closest left, I have Samuel. He's an artist. He's an author. He's also a teacher. He's a poet. He wears many hats, but today the hats is not quite visible, but just imagine they're there. Welcome, Samuel. How are you doing?
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Same here.
All right, so right next to Samuel, another very special guest in the house here, a cultural ambassador. She is with the Blackbones Theatre Company, talking about Valentina. Valentina, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's good to have you.
Good to have you too.
You guys are becoming calm. You will need to see the real you. Anyway, we'll get there. Now, as usual, we have His Royal Flyness, Paul Oladipupo. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, the king greets you.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm trying to understand what's going on here because you guys are now all of a sudden calm, like you put water on your body, like
you're about to.
or you're waiting to
unleash.
You don't start from the climax.
Okay, so you don't. Okay,
That's small.
no problem.
You know, sometimes you have to decelerate to accelerate.
Right.
That's the teacher there coming out. Physics 101.
Yeah, so you get to that point.
Okay,
All right. So, as always, we have a number of segments right here on Culture Cove. We'd like to start with what Hued Network's up and about doing as regards arts and culture around town. And then we move on to around the world, events that have to do with arts, music, movies, fashion, all of that. And finally, we end with a spotlight of a culture, a cultural practice, or how certain cultures react to a specific aspect of life. So we're starting straight off with what we're up and about. So we took a little trip to Thought Art Pyramid Center right here in Abuja. It's a gallery, that's doing a lot in terms of promoting art and giving a space for artists to exhibit or show their works and also, connect with communities on a different level. We spoke to the gallery manager, Destiny Eke. So let's hear what he has to say and let's see how that journey went. And when we return, we'll talk about it. Don't go anywhere. Our visit to the Thought Pyramid Art Center was a beautiful journey through art, crafts, and history. The gallery showcased an array of contemporary and classical works by talented artists. The paintings, figurines, and sculptures evoked deep conversations and offered insightful interpretations of each creator's intent. The pieces on display reflected a strong connection between the past, the present, and imagined futures crafted by visionary minds. A lover of art and a budding artist and photographer, Alex Ogbewe, who had also been admiring the exhibits, spoke to Hued Network about the value of art. During a conversation with gallery manager Destiny Eke, he offered further insight into the behind-the-scenes workings with artists and how such exhibitions come to life.
People just come and say, "Oh, this fella is beautiful. I'd like to work here." But the back end issue, selection of art pieces, the clientele's back and forth, the conversations on agreement between artists and the gallery, also being the third wheel between the artist and the clientele. That's the end product. It's always crazy with the back and forth. So it's not as simple as it is, but it's quite an interesting thing.
He spoke about emerging trends in the art world and also the importance of originality, encouraging artists to develop distinct identities. He also touched on Nigeria's standing in the global art scene.
The floor upstairs is where we place most of the contemporary pieces, but the ground floor is where we have like the master guys, the ones in their 70s, their 80s, their 90s, and the ones who have no more, but their pieces are still existing for them. Yeah. So we try to create that awareness. So that's why most times we also bring in children around to make sure that we explain this, and this, and also try to tell them how art in itself is gold. You don't have to touch it anyhow. You don't have to push it. You just have to look, admire, and aspire to. Yeah.
Eke went on to discuss the relationship between art and community, referencing Thought Pyramid's deep-rooted connection to the grassroots.
So I always like to say, artists should keep it original, keep it yourself, keep doing what you're doing. The world will itself will adjust to it. If you check the art market worldwide, if you check in Europe, if you check in America, if you check in UK, the Nigerian artists are doing extremely well. Yes, they might not be the ones here, they might not be the locals, but I can assure you that they are still representing Nigeria. So it's a plus for us. But we, in comparison of our market and there, I would say we are doing well, but we need to do better. Yeah, collaborations need to set in, and we have a lot of things that needs to be done.
As brushstrokes meet stories and sculptures echo heritage, the Thought Pyramid Art Center reminds us that art is more than expression. It's a bridge between people, time, and truth. This celebration of creativity calls us to support the spaces where imagination thrives and communities connect. In a world in search of meaning, art continues to show us who we are and who we can become. The final words there, who we are and who we can become. I was in my bag there. I almost felt like a poet. But I think let's start with you, Samuel. I mean, you're the closest to this particular aspect. You're an artist yourself. You know, what do you think about what it takes to get here? And we talked to him about, you know, the back end, how they select all of that and talk to artists and all of that. You've been through that process. So what does it look like?
Well, I think Thought Pyramid is like the go-to place for art, in the sense that if you get selected, it's like a recognition for your art. But then those who are not selected does not mean that they are not in their power. But then there are certain things that galleries look out for. So that's what makes the selection process. For instance, if there's a theme and they are looking forward to, they look for certain elements. So I think this gallery, I've visited the gallery, and I think that they've been able to feature many artists, international, local. And one thing I like about Thought Pyramid is that they are pushing forward the African narrative. And I think that is our voice in this time and age. We have to be able to push the African narrative, not as from something that we are not conversant with, but something that we are conversant and comfortable with. You know, when he was speaking earlier, I was talking about artists having their own style, being able to tell their own stories in their own forms, so in different mediums. So I think, come on, if you've not been to Thought Pyramid, where have you been to?
I see. And Valentina, you were talking before the camera started rolling. You were expressing interest in trying to get into it. You know, what do you think?
Well, before I felt like I would like to start drawing or painting, I've actually visited the place too. Yeah, it's a very nice place. It's open for even young artists. They gave us a space to do our open house because we had people who does things like this. So when I got in there was this, I don't know how they call it in your terms, but I'll use my own terms.
Of course.
There was this, is it sculpture or something like that? A man put his hand like this. So I would actually like the man. So I was like, I found my husband. Everyone was laughing. No, because I couldn't put it how someone would, is it paint or sculpt something like that? So I took multiple pictures with this particular image. And I go home, I was just looking at it. So in my head was like, how do you think and then make it come to life? So I was like, let me let it be. I went again another time and I saw another painting. It was really beautiful. So moving forward then, when I went to this other space I was talking about earlier, then it now dawned on me that there is a small calling.
So there's something that you've
Don't
not
laugh.
tapped into yet.
Don't laugh.
No. We encourage you.
I'm not to encourage you personally.
Yeah.
I mean, every artist has a story to tell, regardless. Like, so there's something that every artist is selling.
Art matters.
Exactly.
In fact, it is an art that comes from the heart
That
matters.
matters.
This is why.
Oh my God. Speak on that.
You know why I say this is that you could go out there and say this is a Picasso or this is a Da Vinci, and you buy it for hundreds of millions of naira or dollars and all of that. You have in your house and you tell people. Then there's another one. Your child went to school and they asked the child to paint.
Yeah, exactly.
And the child looked in the whole world and said, "I want to paint my daddy."
Yeah.
That
speaks more volume.
That painting and Picasso should hold on first.
Yeah, exactly.
So some of these things come from the art. But you mentioned something I really want to touch on before you talk, Paul. You said something about you wondered how they came up with that. Maybe Samuel can help us with that. But before that, have you guys seen the most random things on the internet? Somebody just decides that their talent is using bottle caps to make painting, and they just do it. And my question is, how did you know you had these talents? Other people do this thing where they like random things. Just maybe their thing is pillow arts. So they just take a bunch of pillows. You see them doing the video is going like, okay, what are they doing? And then the final thing is
It's very beautiful.
like, so this thing was in your head before, and then it came out. It's really interesting, and I think artists really need to be revered. To create is not an easy thing, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
So do you see these things in your head?
Well, the way I see, anytime I want to create, each artist has a ritual. Some artists decide that I just want to paint. You see it like an urge, like a calling, like I need to do this right away. And then, although it might seem random, but art is not random. There's the decorum in chaos. You can see, despite the materials used, maybe like the bottle caps you mentioned, you find out that as something as ordinary, there has been balance, there's been rhythm, there's been a kind of a pattern to follow to make an ordinary thing seem extraordinary. So I think in creativity, everybody is creative. She might not be able to paint, but she can cook. Knowing each step, of course, you would not put the sauce before boiling the rice. You would not.
Some people do, though.
Some do. And then you know that that's going to be a disaster. Just by paying close attention to it, you find out that this thing is not going to turn out beautiful. But then sometimes miracles happen. And the serendipity that we talk about. So for a person that, I don't think nobody can say they can't do something. As far as you're a human being, your five senses are active. Come on, we've seen guys without the complete senses and physical body and features, right? But they're doing extremely beautiful art, beautiful creative processes and pieces. So I think that it's just an element of some elements that come together. Patience, your perspective, your own control, because you are the artist. You decide is what you create. So it's another thing that there are subtle things that come to par, which is your state of mind, the kind of person you are. If you decide that I'm going to do this, like God decided, let's make man in our own image. But before then, he already let there be this, let there be that.
Exactly.
That's how kids do. Give them a crayon paper, just set the theme. Draw your daddy.
Something will fall out.
Yes, and then come on, you know that the daddy won't look like the daddy,
Indeed.
but that's daddy.
Exactly. I believe it's the thought that matters.
So Paul, you're about to tell them, we saw the videos, we saw how I was.
Exactly.
So you tell them how I schooled you in, the arts.
You schooled me.
Okay.
There's literal footage of it.
There are actually a number of arts that actually spoke to us that day, and I think that's where I would want to question you on, because I mean we saw one and then I started describing. I mean, he has never been to Lagos, for example, and then it was like, okay, what is this? There are too much of people here. The driver is not, and then I was explaining to him that this is actually Molo, because the artists there actually represented Molo and how it's always like, you know, there's this song of Fela that says 49 sitting, 99 standing. That's the story of Molo basically. So it's always packed, jam-packed, and then people, even to the door, even conductor self is always squeezed like this there, and that's how Molo is, and also the artists are able to represent that. But my own question is that art is all about perspectives, right? So you have your own perspective as an artist. How do you always appreciate your audience perspectives? Because, you know, when you paint something and then probably you paint a boy that is sad and that is crying or something, and then someone comes again and saying that, oh, this guy is overwhelmed with joy, and then so that's why there's tears falling down from his eyes. Like, how do you feel when you see something like that, or when you see someone interpreting your art in a different way? Do you welcome it, or you know, like, nah, that's not my art?
Well, I had this experience. I recently had my Metanoia exhibition, and then the state in which I was in while I was making those pieces turned out that there was a bigger picture when other people received what I painted. But then, you as an artist, you are not a dictator. You cannot dictate what somebody should see. You can only just give them a kind of suggestion, auto-suggestion. Like, you recognize the Moluwe. Now, you were not there when the artist painted it, but he spoke a language which you understood. For him to be able to paint that picture was that he has been in the timeline in which you have experienced. So you can see, if you didn't know Moluwe, you just see yellow. Yes. And then you'd be like, why is yellow everywhere? And then my exposure and my exhibition, I asked some people, what do you see? And they started telling me things that I didn't even really pay attention to.
Wow.
And then it gave me a newer perspective. And I was like, the first thing I did was to place a mirror in the gallery. I was like, what do you see? I was like, Nami now. And then I was like, you are the art. Metanoia is about change. From all the processes we've painted all through, it was a storyline that I painted. In case you don't understand the art, just understand that whatever you see should change you in person. Because we as humans, why is art so important is because we are alive. Dead people don't value art. And it's only life that recognizes life. So I think from the perspective of you creating something and letting it go, it's just like having a child and not letting that child go out to be the best version of themselves. That's a very dangerous way to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
I also think
go ahead.
behind is the perspective aspect. So I saw a painting somewhere, and there was like a dead lady maybe, or she's hospitalized or something. Then we had all kinds of professions, doctors, lawyers, politicians, police, anything you can imagine. So they were like painted from here to their heads, but they were all crying. Then the lady was laying in front of, just like we have this table, then someone is here. Then the rest of us with our uniform were crying. Then she had like bandages, some so. Me, when I saw it, I said, this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria lying down. And all these people, that's why I said it may not be what the artist pictured, do you get? But me, my own perspective is now different from his. So mine was like, this is Nigeria. And all these people are the problem of the country. Now they are crying because the country is not coming up again. So each time I enter that particular building, I go straight to that painting because it's so colorful, like it's so catchy. But once you get close, your head will be telling you different things. Like I call my other artists, this one will be saying another thing, say, see, they don't do you know, this one like they're all thinking differently. But mine was that everybody, they're now crying because there's nothing they can do now to revive
the lady.
So this is the
Our
country.
dear Nigeria.
So that was just what I had in my head.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? you are not wrong. Like
Exactly,
we
that's
can
the
all
thing. Yes.
take what we get and then live with that, and it can be the thing for us. If you, it's the same thing we hear with stories. That's especially with short stories back then. You meant to ask a question, not answer a question.
Yes.
You hear some authors, some very popular authors, they are here with you on the interview. So this person, what happens to them, or how do they go to the journey, or did they do this? That's a character that they created. And they tell you, I don't really know what they are going to do. Maybe, because the idea is that these are actual creations that the author is not just deciding. The story is kind of writing itself through them.
Right.
So I think with art, you take what you can and you run with it, as some would say. So everything is welcome. Because personally, I usually have the wildest interpretations of things.
We are together.
And I'm going to keep it like that. Even when it comes to lyrics.
You're going to keep it like that.
I'm not changing for anybody. You take what you can,
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm happy to hear it from the author, to get behind your brain and all of that. But I took something from here and I'm not letting it go. It's my own.
You know that.
So it's cool.
If I see,
But there are some that will always want to hear from the author exactly what exactly
It's
are
fun.
you saying?
It's
here?
fun.
Like,
It's fun.
that's
too.
what I'm going
what
to
do you
back.
mean there?
Me, if I see the artist behind that drew that painting,
Yeah.
I'll ask him or her the question, but whatever he or she tells me,
All right.
It's just his own.
it's the one that I've already imagined.
All right.
That's the one I'm taking. But
Fair
I don't
enough.
want to know his.
Fair enough. But kudos to the artists. They are the ones creating these things. And we're
Right.
happy that you're letting us experience your art and your creations. Just keep creating. Somebody's out there who's going to appreciate it. And that's how I'll end this first segment. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll delve into our second segment with events around the world. Don't go anywhere.
Keep watching
Please keep watching Culture
Culture Cove on Hued Network.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Culture Cove on Hued Network. Now we're delving into our second segment where we take a look at events from around the globe relating to the entertainment and arts, fashion, food, movies, music, and all of that. So, Paul, what do you have for us today?
I hope you're hungry.
Where's the food?
Because I'm taking you on a journey where we celebrate food. It's Qatar International Food Festival, and it's a lovely one.
That one no work, sha. You ask them if they are hungry. No, it's Johnny. You want to
We're talking about food.
Anyway,
Food that is the main topic here.
Let's see the food.
Thank you. Like,
It
after you
feels
say
like
to
you guys are going
eat
to
it,
eat me at this point.
don't worry, we'll have something because you promised them something.
Yes,
So
Don't worry,
lunch on you.
just calm down. I have
Alright.
something very marvelous in stock for you.
Okay.
So Qatar International Food Festival is one that is so lovely because it brings so many people together, restaurants from all over the globe down to Qatar for 10, 11 days that is really celebrated. This year was between February 12th and 22nd, and it was a lovely one. And this year was actually very, very different. And the reason was because instead of us people having kiosks here and there where they have food and just go and buy food, they had some specific things that were just out of the globe. First of such was the Michelin guide, village guide, which starred 9 Michelin star restaurants, which is very amazing. And also, one interesting about it was that all of the meals that were served in all of these restaurants were very affordable to people. I mean, it was not as expensive as you get it normally, so just so that people are able to patronize again. And also, there was also the one I actually loved so much was the dinner in the sky.
Wow.
That's people eating food that's 50 meters off the ground. Just imagine, try imagine, okay, I want to eat dinner and then I'm 50 meters off the ground. And that's a picture right there of it where people are off the ground and then they are eating in the sky. That's almost, there are other pictures that shows almost some parts of other hotels that were there around. This is from the ground and looking up.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. And it's just so amazing. People enjoying themselves, raising a glass and all of that. And also, there was also the QIFF ring that had several things, several people, several competitions, cooking competition, eating competition. So depending on how many burgers you can eat, how many pizzas you can finish, all of those things. That's what was done in this particular place. And talks about, and there were also prizes to be won for everybody. So it was just, and I actually love the fact that they actually were more like keep for all of those that were competing. Exactly. And this year also featured, they had the children's sections as well for the children that were around. And it just encompassed everybody. And in total, they had about over 300 guests in this particular event, and 300,000 guests. It was a lovely one, actually.
I think what really is interesting for me here is that we are now even having celebrity chefs, right?
Right.
And I hope one day we can see some of our own. Perhaps they've gone in the past, but for 2025, I didn't spot them. The Hilda Bassis and all of that. I mean, there was this guy back then who used to trend. They call him Salt Bay.
Salt Bay, yes.
Salt Bay, and so many. So it just shows you that different aspects of this, you can become big in it.
Exactly.
True.
So I'm thinking of unveiling my special spaghetti sometime soon. Yeah. I do some things, and I also cook vegetable sauce that I'm trying to export.
So why didn't you cook it and bring?
Good question.
I want to go to QIFF first. You can meet me in QIFF and we'll eat it in the sky.
No, let's start here, babe.
Actually, you should start first so that we'll know if it's actually worthy of QIFF, because it's not just any food that just enters those places. So
actually, it's quite special because it could be here.
It's an Amadin special.
It could be here.
I
Sometimes
was
you have to
actually
use
thinking
your
of
mind.
the spaghetti name because I was not comfortable with the spaghetti.
Yeah,
So what would you name it like?
The Amadini.
Amadin.
Yeah,
to fly for the
Right,
Qatar
it's you,
store.
it's you.
I'll apply for them. But
That's for 2026.
Yes. But Valentina, I'd like to get your thoughts. Do you think food can be art?
Yes. Food is art.
Thank you.
Food is art. I personally love cooking. Well, I did catering and hotel management.
Oh, interesting.
So, why I said food is art, you might not be hungry, but there's a way you play with the food, the colors,
Exactly.
the placements. I just place it here. I didn't say eat. And you're like, Alpha. And person gets it's for you. You adjust your seat immediately because I've made it so fine and enticing. Like men looking at it without even asking questions. If I leave it here for like a few minutes without coming back to you, be waiting for me, taking care of it for me, but it's for you. Like your worms are already calling you. So I would work on it with the colors, vegetables maybe. Then my arrangements. That's the artistic part of food.
Yes.
Okay, like what they do with gari and soup. Let's go to our local dish now, apart from the rice and the rest. Now you see what they do with gari. They fold it like a towel.
Yeah.
I was actually going there that you see sometimes.
Then they now put the soup. Okay, any soup, the way they'll present it.
Yes.
Even if you weren't hungry, or even if your pocket is not, you are budgeting that money for something better.
Yeah.
You'd want to eat that particular food because of how it is being presented. So that's the artistic part of the food. So yes, food is art.
Bam.
Off mic.
Exactly.
So what do you think, Sam?
I think food is deeper than art because food kind of, I know you might quote me anywhere, anytime, but I think food is one of the binding forces that does not discriminate.
Right.
All of us eat food. Food is a language that we understand without any vocal cues, nothing. You're hungry. This is edible. And then the coloring, like you mentioned, now this is where food is now art because it has colors, it has proportion, it has balance.
Right.
Of course, too much fufu with small soup, it's not enticing.
Yeah.
Too much soup and little fufu.
I disagree, but it's okay.
It's okay.
I was waiting for that actually because
The soup has to overflow.
Okay, so whatever balance you put, now you can also see that a chef is an artist.
Yeah.
So you agree on that one?
Yes.
salt, for example,
you
is very
can make
artistic.
it art, you know.
Exactly.
Even people who do regular cooking videos, when they want to put the salt, you know, do all of that.
Exactly.
But I will say sometimes some people abuse these things. You see somebody caressing meats, and I'm like,
bruh, like,
are you still cooking here? What? I don't understand what's going on. Can we rewind and let's not go too far? We're straying away from the points. But aside that, does anyone ever wonder about how foods came to be? I'm looking at a pot of, let's say, afang soup or okra soup. How did you know that this thing that was planted here would come to this stage? Let's even use rice. The original rice is hard.
Yeah.
If I saw that, I'd be like, it's not, and then move away. But somebody said, I'm going to cook this thing and something will come out. And then they did that and did that. We've even heard stories of how some foods came to be in Nigeria here because of the Civil War.
Yeah.
The people were deprived of access to regular food. So they just said, let's do this. And then it became something else. I mean, one of my aunts, who is a chef, was talking about the history. According to her, I haven't fact-checked this, you know, the history of fish. I think we're having a meal and we're eating this Titus fish. And she said that, did you know that in 19 this fish, they used to call it dead body fish or something like that, that it was looked down on. And that there was another fish, I think this one that has plenty
scholars on the body.
Bones.
Bones.
That was the one seen as the big man's fish. But time just moved and then now Titus became on top. And so it was just interesting to me. How do you guys think people come up with these foods? And do you think we these days are still ambitious or adventurous enough to say,
let's
these
try
plants,
things.
it can lead to something, let's try it? Because now we just cook what, I don't think any new food has really been discovered, particularly in these parts, for a while. So when do we get back that adventurousness?
Well, I don't know how true too. My late aunt used to say something back then when I was younger.
Our aunts have a lot of stories.
Right, they do. She said, I think this same World War-ish. So they didn't have a place to stay. They stayed in their farmlands. So there's these huts. So while there, afang is the story. Because I think your place, they plant afang.
Yeah.
Mine, they take it from the forest. We don't plant in my place. We take it from the forest.
Oh, wow.
So theirs, they plant. So theirs has smaller leaves. Ours has wider and greener leaves. So while they were at the forest, they were hungry. They just saw it. And you must go to the thickest part of the forest to get it. So it was
normal forest or evil forest.
That's what I don't know.
Are they evil forest?
But I think it's the forest because they hunt us.
Okay.
So when they actually went to check on their traps on getting there. So they took the animal, then they saw a tree, then this plant was just growing around it. They had to cut it. So how are they going to? So initially they didn't slice it according to her. They just were looking for a way to cut it to pieces. So they tried tearing it, was hard. So they pounded the leaf with stone, not mortar. This pepper stone.
Yes.
So it became too watery or some sort, foamy or some sort. Then now they tried chewing it. It was still hard. Water leaf by the water side. It was just the color according to us. When they plucked it, they tried to do same. So everything became watery. It didn't work. But they liked how it smelled because it has a very nice, I don't know that one because it's not cooked yet. I will not say aroma. But it sure did.
Yeah.
So moving forward, they tried to cut it with machetes. It wasn't as tiny, but it gave them something. They now tried to cut the water leaf as well. Put it in a pot with water. That was the test. But that's what I can actually remember. I don't remember how they now made it soup. But that was the test it went through before it became soup.
Well, but moral of the story, go to the forest.
And try new things.
There are foods there.
Well, if you are still looking for... One thing about QIFF is that even if you don't know how to cook, there's also the QIFF studio where you are being taught how to cook, that workshop with several Michelin star chefs. So I think that's where the question of representing African chef more right there. If you have more of our chefs here being recognized by Michelin, right? We'll see them in such stages. I mean, even David Beckham as well. He's a footballer. I mean, he was also there this year at the QIFF studio, and it's a very amazing one. Usually hosted by Chef Zima, and it's always a very lovely one. They teach people how to cook different cuisine. I think this year they specifically were on the Latin, that's Argentine cuisine majorly, and that's where they majored on. And it was so lovely actually, and it's lovely to see how much of things they invested in it. I mean, restaurants came from everywhere. I know it's specifically one that I came all the way from London to Qatar. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, art is amazing. Art that you can eat. Oh,
Yeah.
Even better.
I mean, there's a popular one with the guy with the banana that costs millions of dollars, and he just removed
Exactly.
the banana and
And
eats
ate
it.
it, yes.
Banana.
Wow. But anyway, let's look forward to maybe the next QIFF. We just might
Yeah.
find ourselves there, either to cook, to eat.
Let's eat, please.
Everything.
She's all about
And
it.
eat.
Have you ever been to any food festival before? Like, you don't need to cook, just go
Yes,
and
we eat,
there.
or just eat.
Like,
Yeah, even in
every
Nigeria, we
time-
have a gastronomy
Like,
festival that happens once a year.
Each
also.
time I find myself in any food festival, usually I go there not hungry. I'm just like, oh yeah, just let me go. And then I get there and then I'm going from this one to that one to this one. And then
He's a foodie.
after that, so I'm not a foodie, yeah. But once I just get there, it just opens the palate and like, you have to
That is
taste all
it.
of these things. You just go
Alright.
from this one and then take away as well. And come back the next day again. That's how it should be.
Oh, wow. Anyway, that's how we round off this segment. I hope we didn't leave your mouth watering. If we did, just step into the kitchen and whip one up. But do it artistically.
Exactly.
See you in the next segment.
Keep watching
Please keep watching Culture
Culture Cove on Hued Network.
Welcome back. It's our final segment of Culture Cove here. We're still here with Samuel, Valentina, Paul, and my humble self, Amadin. Now we'll be talking about our spotlight on culture for the week, particularly the bride blackening. So Paul, maybe you can start us off with this particular culture.
So we're going now to Wales, to Scotland, where this is actually done. And it's just, here in Africa, we have this culture of when your friend is doing birthday, pour town day, and all sorts. That's the same thing that happens here as well. But this time around is now wedding, right? So once that happens, you pour different kind of food, everything basically pour it on them and make sure it sticks. So it's not like you're actually painting them black, literally, but like you are ensuring that they are so soaked in all sort of everything. But don't worry, it's not their wedding gown, all of that. But yeah, so this is them usually. They will pour all sort of things on them. And usually what has to be there, because it has to stick on their body. If it doesn't stick, then
I mean, the look on Valentina's face right now.
That's
so like
a lot of questions.
and usually they will drive them around the town. It's not like announcing that these people are now married or nobody should come close to them again. And it's always very lovely. Like if it's you will be so happy for them to do it to
If
you.
it is who?
And then you also be happy to do it to somebody as well. Yes. Come on, are they not happy? See everybody. Are they not happy?
This particular story, this dude was very notorious for being one of the
one that goes
gang leaders
extreme.
when others are getting married.
Right.
So when
Oh
it
my
was his
God,
time,
oh
people
my
were
God.
preparing for him that
I
we're
mean,
going
like
to
people
get
have
you.
planned so much. Like,
Honestly.
yes.
Imagine not wanting to miss his own for anything.
Exactly.
Yes. Like it's like even if you've left the country,
I'm coming
coming
back for
back.
are
you.
you telling me Paul is getting married?
Coming
I
back.
Inshallah, I will be there. And I think it's about reciprocity for me. So Valentina, do you think you would participate in this? Either way.
You do it for your friend.
I'll do my friend, but in my wedding,
You don't want them to do it.
Okay, I see this one is prepared. I think she has
Yes, like a cap on. Yes.
a cap on her. But guy,
The dirt.
am I?
It's all washable actually, so it's not
You
something.
see, I understand.
But some
though.
people can be quite nasty. They even rotten egg.
I know, right? I
Yes.
go to the extreme. I know
Aside
that.
rotten egg, imagine when even egg.
But again, it's what you provide them with now. Like you just try to control the environment.
Oh, you provide them with things.
I won't mind it's been done on my wedding day. Like really. But just make sure that I'm not on my suits because I'm going to. Anybody that stays my suits is going to be war basically. But it is very nice basically.
But okay, I can only do it if I'm going to be wearing an overall.
Yeah, I think that lady
Then
was wearing an
I'll share
overall.
mask
You see,
everywhere.
you know what funny thing?
Because
It's not those that are doing it for that wear overall. It's those that are doing it that wear the overall.
no,
Okay.
Well, I mean, you have to protect yourself while you are blackening the bride.
Exactly. Like you're not the bride.
no.
But then
I
this,
think you're meant to kind of just stay there.
But it
and
seems they're
take it.
having fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun. That's the goal of it.
But the
It's
thing,
fun.
sometimes the thing about culture is that you wonder if you can just opt out. Because
Yeah.
the birthday thing you mentioned, I remember back in secondary school, I did not pour it on anybody.
But then on your birthday,
I did not expect anybody to pour it on me.
Yes.
But the funny thing was that my people I wasn't familiar with didn't do that. But you see, my closest
I
friends,
swear.
that's your business.
finish.
Nobody told you not
See
to pour
finish.
anybody.
Yeah,
I know.
finish.
So I think sometimes you wonder if people can kind of, say, me, I'm not doing it. But then the thing about it reminds me of these hazing rituals and how it's sometimes I'm not promoting hazing rituals because some of it can be quite nasty, telling people to do some funny things, sororities in America and all of that. But that aside, there's a bonding that comes with some kind of, will I say, suffering together or understanding shared suffering? Because I have this bond.
Yeah.
No, maybe I shouldn't say this on air. Because I was going to talk about a certain suffering I've gone through with some
people,
body
yeah.
Okay.
under the hands of someone else. But maybe the someone else is fine. But we're closer now because we went through that together.
Yes.
So when you are blackening and you are blackened, and then you want to blacken
Blacken
again, you're
someone,
like,
yes.
I was here.
Yeah.
Connection
And they even
all
give
that.
advice that just don't
do
struggle.
this way,
Exactly.
don't do
Don't
that
try
way.
to just be
But I
gentle.
she
think
that is
since
saying
it
that
is
she doesn't
culture-
like it. She might end up saying,
that-
wear this, don't wear
That
this.
is the truth.
Exactly.
That is the truth because now that I don't like it and it is culture,
Yeah.
I must do it.
Exactly.
I'll go and carry out research. Things that are weird that even I know that. Once I look at myself, I know that okay, it's not my real skin.
Yeah.
It's this thing I'm putting on that the thing is blackening.
you can move it.
I cannot enjoy it with you. But the only thing that will make me want to do it is the fact that it is culture.
Culture. I think this also is a form of bonding
Yes.
Yeah.
and community engagement
Yes.
and belonging. And I think this kind of cultures are, I don't know if modernity is going to diminish its-
Funny enough, it actually initially started out as feet washing culture, where the bride and groom, or mostly the bride, were meant to be cleansed and all of that.
Yeah.
But this
It
now
just-
goes
it
to
just
evolution
moved on.
of
Exactly.
Culture.
Something that
Yes.
started out as washing ended up
became
as
blackening.
I don't know which country they used to blacken their feet before marriage or something.
interesting.
Bride and groom, they'll just sit. People come and do it for. So I don't know if it's related to this. thing.
I mean, we'll find it.
We'll
and
actually
we'll
find
put
out.
it there
Oh,
one
okay.
day.
because when I'm saying it's culture, like where I come from, before you get married, I don't know if it's still happening now. There's something they call fattening room.
Yes.
So they'll put you in there, feed you, take care of you. So imagine how thin I am. They now put me there. I come out looking like 4 persons.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it happens. So they are giving me to you and your family in
Very
that
healthy.
manner so that you know that this is how we give as this person.
That's interesting.
Do you get?
Yeah.
So what me I don't know now is
If you see
it's still happening now. And if it is happening now, I'm on live. I don't go to it.
But you said it's culture. You have to.
But it's culture. Hey, that's what I'm going to. But it's culture.
Yes.
If it is culture and it's still happening
Do you
now,
think,
like
do you think
pay,
it will work for you,
pay
though?
attention. It's you.
Okay.
I've seen.
Because you're a very active person. So even in
Exactly.
a fattening room, if you're
I think
going
imagine
away, they
you're quiet.
fast.
I think the whole concept of it is to ensure that this person doesn't leave this room. He
Because
just
what you
doesn't
do
anything.
there, they come with your food. They come and massage you. Okay, first thing, there's
This spa.
There's this,
exactly.
there's this, is it 5 liter? How many liter? That paint, small paint bucket.
Yeah, like
so they used to
4
soak
liters.
Gary there, not plenty, and with lots of water overnight. So by morning, as you wake up, you're drinking everything.
God.
They'll not massage you.
Did you suppose
They'll not take you to go shower, come back, another massage. So what you're actually doing is eating, sleeping, they entertain you, eating, sleeping
Alright.
for like a period of time.
All right,
That's
fair enough.
I actually love to look into it actually, but
It's very interesting.
It's very,
and
very
I think
interesting.
It's common with the southern Nigerians.
well, I
from
think
Akwa Ibom and
they'll
Cross
actually have
River,
their
so-
reasons for it because I don't understand that. I feel like there'll be a reason behind it, and I also want to look into it actually personally
There are lots
because
of reasons.
especially
Fair enough.
health-wise,
At the end
talking
of-
about
at the
giving
end of
birth
the day-
as a woman
Yeah,
actually.
the fertility aspect of it
Yes.
is also handled in the fattening
fattening room.
process.
Interesting.
Everything.
Women from the southern part of Nigeria, the older women, they are experienced in these things. So when they take you into that room, they also give you tips how to
Tips,
handle
yeah.
and take care of your
Your husband
husband.
Okay.
and
You understand?
family.
And so there's no reason for you to decide to,
Opt out.
of course. So to join it with this, to link it to this Blackbone,
yes.
these are things that make marriages successful in quotes because
Passing down of knowledge.
they've passed through a ritual kind of
Yeah.
for bonding.
Yeah.
Everybody now know you've been to the fattening room. What are they fattening you for?
Exactly.
Exactly. And you've been blackened. Everybody now knows this is your wife.
Yes, and
That's
your
your husband.
husband.
So there's nothing hidden. It's open and something that they celebrate. So
Indeed.
I think,
Indeed.
and Nigeria is one of those countries that have these cultures, positive cultures that promote continuity of the family structure and all.
And even togetherness
yeah.
as well.
And I think maybe the only thing would be we need to pass this on with more than just oral passage because things that
to
are
write
not
things down.
written sometimes can be misconstrued. But I think that's how we round off the program for today. It's been a lovely one. Thank you guys so much. But before we go, there is one final bit. We have a wise saying that we like to take a look at on the program just to, get us to put on our thinking hats and see what's there. Usually it's in Pidgin English. So let's take a look at the one we have for today so that we can see what our thoughts are on it. So let's take a look at it now. Okay, Valentina, can you take that for us, please?
Okay. All right. Fowl wey they carry for head. No, they no say to waka, now walk.
Deep.
Chai.
What do you think?
Philosophical.
What do you think?
Me. Yeah. I'm the one that read.
We talked about perspective at the beginning of the show. So like to you.
No, let's come back. Let's come back to this. Since she read.
my perspective.
Sama, what do you think?
How they carry for head, no they no say to walk and walk. Like it's very deep. As simple as it seems, 2 lines, right?
Yes.
But it goes a long way. I think you that is moving in Benz do not know that the sun outside is hot. So it's like you don't really know the pains it takes to go on a journey to move from one point to another till you are the one that is carrying someone. So I think that would do. Yes.
It is. So Paul, what do you have?
I thought I was going to go like that.
No, she has a privilege.
Okay, no problem. So for me, it's more of like there's nothing that is too small. I mean, just because maybe someone just gave you 5 naira today to help your business, right? you don't understand that 5 naira that I think it also talks about how people should be grateful
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
Because these days we are talking about how people are very entitled to things that they didn't even work for in the first place. So someone gives you 5 naira from his own salary. That 5 naira might be like maybe 10% of his salary. And then you're like, why would you give me 5 naira? Like you should always be appreciative of whatever anyone does to you. Even though it's very little as 5 naira, just tell the person thank you and be grateful. Gratitude.
And the thing is,
Gratitude.
and I think part of the parable is that you will tell that thank you when you start to give
Carry
Yeah.
some
Exactly.
because
yes.
you've not been earning a salary yourself that you thought
Exactly.
why
That's
can't you
what-
just
yeah.
all of that. So
This
Valentine,
goes down to our
I
uncles
think
and aunties. I have
that's
rich
I
uncle.
want to go. Yeah.
He doesn't care about me. He doesn't want to give me money.
It's true. It's
Very
just like
stingy
our
uncle
parents and
auntie.
us.
Yeah.
yeah.
Parents and us,
Yeah.
they are always doing for us.
Yeah.
You never understood them.
Yes.
Now that you're an adult,
Yeah.
I'm
Now
sure
you-
we
now
understand.
you are not the
You
owner,
get
yes.
that time. Mommy, onions has finished. Come and take money.
Yeah.
Mommy, this has finished. Come and take money. Now that you are now big,
Can you take money for yourself?
now you know what?
You know,
Just imagine you want
Yeah.
to cook now. I just turned on your gas and gas has finished. You go and sleep with that hunger.
I know,
Because
right?
now you now appreciate. You just go and tell mom your daddy is finished and they bring that
Exactly.
money immediately.
Yeah,
You
go
don't
and fill
even
the
know where
gas.
it came
Yeah.
from.
Anyway,
Chai.
it's amazing.
Sorry,
Really.
your home
Yo,
talk.
You're on, I mean.
No, it's similar. It's
No,
just say
I
it.
want to hear from you.
It's related to family as well, but it's also about conditions. You know, when you've not walked in a person's shoes, you can hold off a little bit on your judgment because when people say it can never be me, it can be you.
Yeah,
you.
So just wait a moment before you judge, because I've seen, especially young men who become fathers. I don't know if I should tell this story, but there was a time one of my eldest brothers. We're very many in our family. He came home and he was just shedding tears at a point and was just thanking my dad. Thank you so much, Daddy. You know, because he's a father now and he knows what it's about, and he's telling. And then he tells me, who's not a father yet, appreciate this man. you don't understand yet, but you will. You know, something like that. So at the end of the day, I think we should all try and appreciate those who are doing things that we have no idea about yet, and we should also judge people who are in situations we've not yet experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Sure.
this leads me to asking you one question.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather be?
The fowl or the carrier?
The fowl or the carrier?
Now.
Now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to be carried. I've carried myself for a while. I've tried, but
We all see the opportunity. All of us will so jump at
Obviously,
it.
yes.
you know, because especially with children
there's no
who are
shame.
being told, leave your house, you need independence, bro. Have you seen the economy? Stay in your
Stay
house
in your
first
house,
and
exactly.
build. When you're ready, you leave, and when the time is right. So anyway, that's how we round up the program today. Thank you so much, Samuel. Thank you so much, Valentina. Thank you, Paul.
Do we
We're
have to
together.
thank
We're
you?
together. Now we. So
Yeah.
everywhere is good. So thank you so much for coming. This is our round up the segment round up the episode of Culture Cove. Do join us next time, Saturdays every morning. We come to you on Huge Network right here. So join us next time. Bye for now. I am
Bye,
Amadin,
guys.
Ogbewe.